remembering a time that you were both tweeting about it, I think, and writing about this period where you just vanished.
Yeah.
And I think I remember saying to you at the time on Twitter, I would watch that show. Do you want to tell them a little bit about that period and about what that might be, what that show might look like?
Yes, and this is not what the show is going to be. That's what my next book is going to be. When I was 19, I was finishing up my second year of college in Connecticut, and I was gang raped when I was 12, and I never really dealt with it, and I was just a mess. And I asked my parents if I could take some time off from school, and they're Haitian. Like, there is no time off, okay? What is that? That's some American nonsense. And so there was going to be no time off. And so at the end of that summer, I ran away. I just left. I left my apartment, I left the university, I didn't tell anyone, and I disappeared for a year. And I was really, really lucky because I disappeared with a 44-year-old man I met on the internet. Like in the early days of the internet, like when serial killers were free to go. And he turned out to be a really kind man who I think understood, I mean, he wasn't a saint, but he was very good to me. And he understood, I think, that I was damaged, and he didn't take advantage of me in the ways that he could have. And I'm very grateful to him to this day for that, because when I look back, I'm just like, girl, how did you survive that? I found good people during my sort of gap year. And I was wild during that year, and I did a lot of crazy things because I was crazy. I mean, I was literally crazy. I just cracked. You just reach a point where you can't contain your shit anymore. And so I just cracked gloriously. And then finally my parents tracked me down because they're awesome. And they had my youngest brother call me on the phone. They found me in an apartment in Phoenix, Arizona, and they had the baby call me. Guilt. Oh, I was like, you bitches. Because I knew I would talk to him and not hang up on him. And of course not, I didn't. And slowly but surely we reconnected. But there's a lot, I think, a show about that year would just show like me making a lot of mistakes. But also, for the first time in my life, not having to perform the role of Roxane that my parents expected of the good Catholic girl. I could just be fucked up and not have to explain myself and not have to get straight A's at my fancy university. And so it was a mess, but it was also really freeing. And it was a release of a lot of pressure. And it certainly took a long time for me to get my shit together, but that was the turning point that set me on the right path, even though the path would take like 10 years to get down. So yeah.
So when you say it's going to be the next book, fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction.
It's part of Hunger. So my next book is called Hunger. It's coming out in May 2016. And I'm writing about obesity and like, what is it like to be not truly overweight? I'm sorry, I know this is a loaded topic, but like I'm not really here for you if you're like 15 pounds overweight. I'm sorry about those pounds, but I mean, I'm sorry about it, but I'm not gonna. I'm talking about like what is it like to be 200 pounds overweight, because those are two very different things, and sort of like how the world becomes very small the bigger you become. So I'm writing about what happened to me and how I gained weight on purpose because I didn't want to get hurt again. And I realize now that was dumb, but I also was never raped again. So in my head, it kind of worked. I know, it's a mess. I've had therapy. And so I'm writing about that. And then also the trigger or the overall conceit of the book is based on my Tumblr because I'm learning how to cook, finally. I finally feel like I can take care of myself in that way. And so I'm writing about learning how to cook late in life and learning how to take care of myself and feeling like I deserve to cook for myself and do things like that. And so that year is going to come into it. So it's part memoir, part cultural critique of the rhetoric of obesity in this country, and part sort of like weight loss journey. But now, it's not like I'm going to be standing like in like one side of my jeans or anything. Which is fine. There's no problem with that. It's just that for me, it's not like a dramatic revelation. It's just sort of learning to love myself and take care of myself. And also, there might be some vegetarian rhetoric in there.
Have you gone veggie?
I've been a vegetarian for years now. Yeah, yeah. But my mom has been a vegetarian my whole life, so it's not like it wasn't a revelation. I just was like, what is something I can do to change some of my eating habits? I love meat. Ugh. And so I cut meat out.
All right. So are you going to have recipes in there?
Well, the recipes, yes, but they wouldn't be mine. So on my Tumblr,
writing about trying out these recipes.
Wait, yes, and acknowledging who those recipes belong to. And so my editor and I we're still going to talk about it soon, just trying to figure out how that would work in sort of terms of permissions. And so we're thinking about doing some of the images, because I also put images on my Tumblr post. And so we're still working some of that stuff out, but right now what I'm doing is just generating text, and then we'll figure out format, and because later.
I feel like I should give you a chance to talk a little bit about Ina.
Ina's so great.
Give in.
Thank you. I was just waiting.
But is she like sort of the food version of Kerry Washington? Is that what we
well, that too. She used to be a White House nuclear policy analyst.
Oh, wow.
Right. I mean, she's fierce. Don't sleep on Anna. She's
I'm closer than
I know. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm a workaholic, and I never stop working, ever. And I have a day job, so it's a lot. And about a year ago, I was just, realizing I need to do something mindless, or, I'm just never I'm gonna lose my mind. And so Ina's on every day from 4 to 5. And so I don't allow myself to work from 4 to 5 because I'm focusing on Ina. And so it's just started as a way to keep me from working all the time. And so then I started to tweet while I was watching it because she's so great. And she does all these rhetorical questions like, how good is that? And who wouldn't want that for their birthday? And how easy is that? And she also compliments herself all the time. And I love that. Her confidence is glorious. She's like, delicious. I'm like, girl, how delicious is it? She's married to Jeffrey, who is a professor at Yale, and Jeffrey is generally not in the Hamptons during the week, and he comes home every Friday and she roasts him a chicken, and he loves roast chicken, and he also loves dessert. And so when he comes in to see what's for dinner, sometimes Ina will say, oh, there's salted caramel ice cream in the freezer. And he'll scamper to the freezer. And he wants a boat, but Ina won't let him buy one. And she has custom made shirts, and she owns, I'm sure, 100 of them. And she won't tell us where she gets them made because she doesn't want us to copy. And she pops her collar.
Yes, she does.
Yes, sir. 1986 and 2014. Oh, and she never changes her hair. It's so gorgeous. It's shiny, bob. And she's just always so happy. I love her. Oh, and then she'll be like my friend Eli Zabar. Of Zabars? And then the other day it was my friends Mariska and Alec. Mariska Hargitay and Alec Baldwin. It's so awesome. She doesn't apologize for being rich, and she doesn't apologize for being bougie, and I'm bougie as fuck. And so I love it. I'm just like, girl, bring on the glamour. I am here for you.
Perfect. So I'm guessing you probably can or don't want to talk about the thing that you had the TV meeting about, or can you? Can you say anything about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm.
A few meetings.
I'm in the process of having a few meetings about a few different things, but the one thing I can't talk about is, because it's a theoretical idea at this point, but I've had a couple meetings about it, is making a TV show called Grown Women. In my essay about girls, I talk about how I would write a show called Grown Women, and a couple people read that and took me seriously. Yes. And so now I'm trying to take myself a little more seriously, because I sure will write that show. I think it'll be fun. I think that there is room in popular culture and in entertainment for a show about women in their 30s and 40s that's not Sex and the City, which I love. I think Sex and the City is great, but Sex and the City, there are no black people in that New York either. What the fuck? I mean, how many goddamn shows about New York without black people are we gonna have? And any other people, like every time I leave my hotel, I'm like, oh my god, brown, black, look at these tones of skin, all these ethnicities, it's amazing. And then you watch these shows like Friends, like there's no one. And so my show also won't be set in New York, but I'm very interested. I think that my 30s have been, especially my late 30s, I'm 39, I turn 40 next month. They've been the best years of my life. I finally, I mean, I'm still a mess, but that's part of what the show is about. But part of the show is also like accepting that I'm a mess, and I'm just totally fine with that. Like, yes, I'm a mess, but I'm also a good person. And I still pay my bills and live paycheck to paycheck, and but I do pay my bills, and that's much different from my 20s when I was like, whatever, credit schmedit. I'm never gonna own a house, which it worked out. I'm never gonna own a house. So I want to explore that in a television show in a way that's funny and interesting.
So, what are some other shows that you might like to see, whether or not you write them?
Well, there's one show I can't tell you about.
Okay.
That's going to be awesome if it happens. And then, I just want to see more representation. In fact, the other day I was joking on Twitter, have we given up on seeing Asians on television? I was just like, what the fuck? Like, and it has been years since All American Girl, Margaret Cho. And we had, what's his name? The comedian.
John Cho?
No.
George.
George the Latino. He's Mexican?
Lopez.
George Lopez. We had the George Lopez show. So we've tried to give various ethnicities their little moment in the sun. But Asian, South Asian, Middle Eastern, not really, unless it's that one reality show on Bravo. The Persians of Sunset. The Shahs of Sunset. I love that show. Oh my god. It's like, what? But anyway, I would love to just see, when we talk about diversity right now, it's so narrow. It's black and white. And we're forgetting about a whole swath of people. And so I would actually like to see some truly diverse shows, which is just not to say we don't need more television shows with black people, but God, the United States is very diverse, and let's start to see more reflections of that in our television. And so I don't have specific needs, I just want to see more people of color, in every sense of the word, on television.
I'm thinking of like a Good Wife spinoff about a certain fixer on the Good Wife.
Punjabi, she's hot. I'm into her. Archie. She's fucking hot. I'm that bad feminist.
I would watch a whole show about
That
her.
would be a great show. And again, and something else that would also be interesting, and this is one of the things I like about Shonda Rhimes, is where race isn't the narrative thrust. It isn't the tension. These are people living lives, and they happen to be of color. And once in a while, there will be a very special episode. But for the most part, I would like to see shows where we just get to be human. And so I would love to see a family, like Brothers and Sisters. Why could that not have been about a Latino family? I mean, why not? And do you really think people wouldn't watch this? And if they wouldn't, well, then they're the problem, not the show. Sorry, I have opinions.